If you feel like you're capable of more, but you don't have a clear path to get there, you're in the right place. This is the Career Reset Path, a channel where I talk about everything you need to know to become a developer without rushing, guessing, or doing it alone. I'm Cindy Albuquerque, and today's episode is From a Job That Doesn't Value Your Talent to the Career That Actually Does. First of all, who am I? I've been working as a software engineer for more than 18 years. I've worked in companies from startups to large companies like Amazon. But it wasn't always like that. In the beginning of my career, I graduated at Atmospheric Sciences at University of São Paulo. I've worked as a meteorologist for a couple of years, but soon I reached the ceiling of my profession, and I wasn't happy there. I wanted more. So I went back to the university and I studied systems analysis and development at Uninove. And then I became a software engineer. So what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about how your current job can be a bridge to a successful career in tech and how it can be your fuel for a great change. So what is this topic not about? First of all, it's not a magic solution. If you want to become a successful developer, you have to keep learning. You have to be constant and you have to put a lot of effort into it. So this is not a shortcut that eliminates the need to learn. And especially, this is not a space for complaints. Why is this topic an opportunity for you? First of all, it transforms your greatest weakness into your greatest strength. I'm assuming here you're not satisfied with your current job. Second, it gives you control over your situation. We're going to shift your focus from the problem to the solution. You might be thinking, my job has nothing to do with a tech career. I understand that. It's a valid point. I myself came from a career that apparently had nothing to do with tech. But let me tell you something. The important thing is the skills you developed, the soft skills. For example, if you deal with clients, you have learned to manage expectations. You have learned to solve problems quickly. If you have an exhausting routine, you have learned discipline and resilience. All of these soft skills are as valued as technical skills. And how you are going to present them is a powerful differentiator. You might also be thinking, I don't have time or I don't have energy. This is a very valid objection and a reality for many. But let me ask you something. What exhausts you more? The working hours themselves or feeling stuck? The frustration can actually be a fuel for you to change your situation. And it can be your fuel to make an action plan to change your situation. A couple of months ago, I heard a story about Jensen Huang. He's the CEO of NVIDIA. For those who don't know, NVIDIA produces the GPUs that are worked with artificial intelligence. Lecture at Stanford University, and in that lecture, he said, I hope suffering happens to you. Intelligence and talent are important, but the most important thing is character defined by difficulties. Greatness comes from character. Character isn't formed out of smart people. It's formed out of people who suffered. He himself had to wash dishes and clean bathrooms while at the same time having to face bullying. These experiences made him resilient and gave him a perspective that no college could provide. So, how can your current job help you? First, the technical skills, and second, the social skills. So, right now, you can use your job as a practical skills laboratory. You can look for problems to automate. For example, you can use Google Sheets or Excel for that. What are the most repetitive tasks of your daily routine? Is there any list you fill out manually? Is there any process that could be faster? You can also use existing technology. You can use the softwares that your company already uses. For example, It can be a point of sale systems, it can be a logistics, management, or inventory apps. You can learn how they work, what are their failures. For example, a simpler way to share information. Or you can create a Trello board. You can create a Google form. You can create a shared document to organize tasks. You can use all of these to build your first project portfolio. There's also an underestimated point, but which is crucial from your current job, which is financing the transition. Because changing careers, especially to a technical field, it requires an investment of time and often money. So your current job can give you the capital for training. It is a source of income that will allow you to pay for courses, certifications, books, or even a better computer. It also provides the financial security needed so you can focus on your development without the pressure of unemployment. It also gives you discipline and time management. Your work imposes a routine and discipline, and this structure is essential for self-directed study. The experience of managing your time between work, home, and study is a skill highly valued by recruiters. Your current job can also be used for networking and market awareness. For example, you can observe the trends, how technology is changing your sector, what new apps your competitors are doing, what customers and managers are asking for in terms of innovation. Your on-the-ground perspective is unique and valuable. You can also use it for strategic conversations. You can ask questions to people who use technology in their work. For example, how does this payment system work? Who developed this app? Every conversation can be a step towards a new connection and new learning. So now I'd like to make an invitation for you to implement these strategies. Think about the tasks you currently have at your job. Which one is the most repetitive? Or the one that frustrates you the most? Is there any way to automate that task or make it more efficient? What softwares are used in your company? Can you use them in any way to improve your tasks? What strategic questions can you ask the people who use this software? Make a list of all your ideas and choose one to implement tomorrow. You're not starting from zero. Having a different career doesn't mean you have no skills. And also, your skills are not your job title. The problem here is translation. Most people don't lack skills. They lack someone to translate what they already know into the language of tech. Your current job may have made you develop many social skills. For example, effective communication and customer relations, attention to detail, quality orientation, time and efficiency management, proactivity, priority management, problem solving, adaptability and fast learning. These are only a few that I mentioned here. There are several other social skills that are very important for tech. So let's suppose you work at customer service. A normal day there, you would have vague problems, emotional pressure, constant interruptions. This is already problem solving, just without the technical vocabulary. What is actually happening? Customer comes with a problem, but they usually don't know what their problem is. And it's your job to do a clarification. You have to ask questions to understand their problem. And asking questions is analysis, is problem clarification. Or for example, the customer comes enraged. It is your job to calm them down. And this is expectation management. Many problems to deal with. You have to choose what to solve first. And this is prioritization under pressure. Before any solution exists, someone has to understand the real problem. That's already engineering thinking. So how this becomes development? First of all, you have to clarify before you act. Why? Because bug reports are very vague. Software customers also don't know what they need, also don't know what their problem is, and you have to ask questions. The users describe symptoms, they don't describe the root cause, and it's your job to find out the root cause. When the users are enraged, you are under stress, and you have to take calm decisions. Developers who write good code are usually the ones who ask better questions first. They're not the ones that jump straight into code. They are the ones that understand the whole context. Your experience turning ambiguity into clarity is essential for development work. Your ability to stay rational under pressure is a critical engineering skill. Let's take another example, a teacher. A teacher has to explain the same concept in different ways. The same explanation doesn't work for everyone. There are different learning speeds. There's the constant adaptation. Teaching is not about talking, it's about checking understanding. But what teachers really do? They break problems into steps. They detect misunderstandings. And they adjust the approach. This is structured thinking, the same structure used to design software. What is the work of a developer? We usually get a vague Brexit. Oh, it's simply adding a button to this page. But behind that button, there are many processes, and you have to understand that vague concept and break into smaller steps. Debugging logic, debugging code, and debugging understanding use the same mental process. If something doesn't work, you change the approach. Clear communication. Teachers also have to have a clear communication because clarity matters more than brilliance. Another example, if you are a migrant professional, you have to work with new systems, with new culture, and no clear rules. Nothing is written down. You don't know what is implicit, but you still need to perform. This is one of the hardest learning environments there is. And what migration builds? It builds fast learning and autonomy, learning without instructions, asking the right questions. Your ability to learn independently and efficiently is essential in tech careers. Migration also builds adaptability. The tools change constantly. The tools that you had in your country are most likely different from what you have now. The learning never stops, and autonomy is expected. Your adaptability and communication flexibility are highly valuable. If you survive this, you already know how to learn without certainty. How this becomes development? When you get new code bases, most of the time they are undocumented, and you have to adapt. In new teams, they assume you have knowledge. There's constant change. Onboarding to a new country and onboarding into a new system require the same skill. Bugs persist, solutions fail, progress requires patience. Your resilience supports long-term growth in complex systems. Did you notice the pattern? Skills already exist. Different backgrounds, but same underlying thinking. Tech needs translation. Guidance is more important than content. So, effective communication. You have to communicate clearly to ensure tasks are understood and executed correctly. You have to have an effective communication to receive instructions about daily tasks or to report problems, for example, broken equipment to supervision. Coordinating work with colleagues to ensure everything is done on time. In technology, communication is vital for collaborating in teams and presenting ideas. A programmer needs to communicate with their team to explain new code. A data analyst needs to clearly present their findings to managers who are not specialists in the area. A project manager must align the expectations of all involved. Your ability to communicate directly and assertively is a valuable asset. Attention to detail and quality orientation. In technology, attention to detail is crucial for programming, software testing, and problem solving. Think of technology as a complex building. If a single brick, a line of code, a data point, is in the wrong place, the entire structure can become unstable or even collapse. Your ability to notice the small details and ensure a high standard of quality is exactly what technology companies look for in professionals, such as developers. A misplaced comma can cause a program to malfunction. Software testers, you need a keen eye to find bugs that most people wouldn't see. Data analysts, precision is everything. One mistake in a number can lead to totally wrong conclusions. How to use this experience on the CV? You have to translate your daily responsibilities into transferable skills that are relevant to the technology field. Instead of simply listing your tasks, you will show how you perform on them in a way that demonstrates value. Instead of writing handled customer inquiries and complaints, you could write analyzed customer reported issues by asking targeted questions to identify root causes and distinguish symptoms from underlying problems. Coordinated with internal teams to resolve issues efficiently while managing expectations and communicating constraints clearly. Operated effectively under high-pressure environments, prioritizing tasks and maintaining service quality during peak demand periods. This highlights incident handling and requirements clarification, all highly valued competencies in technology. Instead of writing, taught mathematics and physics to students, you could write, manage Structure 101 and small group learning sessions, adapting explanations in real time to address individual knowledge gaps and ensure concept mastery. Designed step-by-step instructional plans to break down complex subjects into logical sequences, improving student comprehension and retention. Continuously assessed learner progress and adjusted teaching strategies, ensuring measurable improvement over time. This highlights problem decomposition, communication, and iteration. Instead of writing, relocated internationally and adapted to a new environment, you could write, successfully transitioned into a new professional and cultural environment, rapidly learning new systems, workflows, and communication norms. Operated autonomously in unfamiliar contexts, proactively seeking information and becoming productive without extensive onboarding. Collaborated with multicultural teams, adjusting communication style to ensure clarity and alignment across diverse stakeholders. This highlights adaptability, autonomy, and team integration. Now, I'd like to give some general tips to improve your CV. Keywords. Read the job descriptions in the technology fields that interest you and identify the keywords that appear frequently. Problem solving, team collaboration, optimization, proactivity, etc. Adapt your description to include these keywords. Have a skills section. Create a section for transferable skills or soft skills on your resume and list the points I mentioned. Results, not just tasks. Whenever possible, include quantifiable results. Think about how your work improved something: efficiency, organization, team satisfaction. So why is this extremely effective? First, no one is claiming software experience. No one is exaggerating titles. The thing is, the verbs changed. The responsibility framing changed. The mental model changed. Not career switcher, but a junior professional with transferable value. So now tips for using this experience in an interview. Use the STAR method. The STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. in the situation, you describe the context. In customer service, I frequently received complaints that were vague, emotional, or poorly defined. In the task, you will explain your goal. My role was to identify the real issue and guide the customers toward their resolution while managing expectations. Action. In the action, you will detail what you did. I listened carefully, asked targeted clarifying questions, and separated symptoms from the underlying problem. I then coordinated with internal teams and communicated constraints clearly to the customer. Result. In the result, you're going to mention the outcome of your action. Issues were resolved more efficiently, misunderstandings were reduced, and customers felt heard even when solutions took time. Now, this tip is gold. You have to add a bridge from your skills to development. For example, this directly translates to development work, where bug reports and requirements are often unclear, and engineers must clarify the real problem before writing code. By doing this, you transform your customer service experience into a concrete and impressive example of how you can deal with clients, navigate ambiguity, and perform under pressure. The interviewer will see your customer relations, effective communication, and problem-solving skills. Do you remember any situation from your work that you could use to practice the STAR method in your next tech interview? Now the example of the teacher with the STAR method. In the situation, you'll describe the context. I was teaching complex subjects in 101 and small group settings, where students often struggle to understand abstract concepts. In the task, you will explain your goal. My responsibility was to ensure that every student actually understood the material, not just that it was presented. The action. You will detail what you did. I broke concepts down into smaller logical steps, checked understanding frequently, and adapted my explanations when I noticed confusion. If one approach didn't work, I reframed the explanation using a different angle or example. In the results, you will mention the outcome of your action. Students progressed more consistently and gained confidence in subjects they initially found difficult. The bridge to development. This is the same approach I use in software development, decomposing problems, reasoning step by step, and adjusting my approach when something doesn't work, especially when debugging or explaining code to others. This way, you transform your teaching experience into a concrete example of your attention to detail, quality orientation, and problem solving, and how you can adapt. Now the STAR method for a migrant professional. In the situation, you'll describe the context. I relocated internationally and had to adapt to a new professional, cultural, and organizational environment. The task. Explain your goal. I needed to become productive quickly while learning new systems, expectations, and communication styles. In the action, you'll detail what you did. I proactively sought information, asked clarifying questions, learned independently, and adjusted my communication to align with the new context. The result? You will mention the outcome of your action. I integrated successfully into the new environment and was able to collaborate effectively despite the initial uncertainty. The bridge to development. Remember, this is gold. This experience mirrors onboarding into a new code base or team, where engineers must learn fast, adapt, and become productive without having everything documented. You transform your migration experience into a concrete example of your adaptability and fast learning, and your ability to navigate ambiguity and communicate effectively. Another example, the interviewer asks you, Tell me about a time when your attention to detail made a difference. How could you answer this question? Think of a situation where your careful observation prevented a problem, improved the process, or ensured a superior result. Don't worry about having the perfect answer. The important thing is to start thinking about how to translate your experience to this new field. Now, an invitation to implement these strategies. Think about the soft skills you are developing in your current job. Consider how you can add them to your CV. Think about how to use them with the STAR method. You can create a catalog of all these experiences to keep organized and ready to talk about when needed. Now tell me, did you like this lesson? Did I help you in any way? Would you like me to go deeper into any skill or current job that I didn't mention today? Tell me here in the comments. Please like the video and share with the people you think might benefit from these strategies, and subscribe to the channel.